Well, anyway, a whole lot happening here in the studios, and while looking at or rather taking off from where we stopped last week about political parties' internal democracy. What joined us to look at some of these happening in his home state this morning is Senator Ayo Arise, is a member of the PDP. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Well, I'm sure you watched proceedings and all of those that we had on the program last week, and we had a couple of others who spoke about this, and we saw what happened in Rivers State. 16 aspirants actually staged a walkout, members of your party, and a couple of other states have also been complaining about the lack of internal democracy. First, let us start by asking you, being a former senator, what this means to you when we talk about internal democracy.
Well, I believe for democracy to thrive, we must get it right. We must allow the people to have to make their choices. If there's no internal democracy, we cannot have it on the larger scale. The people will not be able to participate effectively because the process of putting up elected officials has to be done in a way that you give members of the political party, people at the grassroots level, to have a say in who governs or who represents them. And my understanding of internal democracy, of course, PDP had done fairly better than other parties in the past. But I see a trend that is getting very worrisome. It's always been there. We addressed that sometimes in 2010 in the amendment, whereby the people would choose or elect somebody only for the name to be changed at the headquarters, and at INEC you find someone else, other than the person that actually was voted for. That was that level, and that was checked by the amendment to the Constitution to say that unless through death or a resignation, anyone whose name has passed through the process and gone to INEC can no longer be replaced after a particular time. Every time we move one step, we kind of notice that there are two steps backwards. The situation in Ekiti, at the present time, I saw a different perception to the democracy that we're all aspiring for. Take for example, my governor about a couple of weeks ago called the leaders of the political party of PDP. I wasn't there, and I just read out a list of 26 House of Assembly members and said whoever doesn't like it should go and face him on the field. I don't know what kind of democracy that is. That is how this whole problem started. So and I had to send him a text, because we expect to be improving and getting better on a day-to-day basis. The problem is not really about me, but it's more about the party. When you touch the assembly, the grassroots people at that level, and you have over 60, 70 aspirants, and you have selected by fiat 26 as your candidate, the idea of voting a governor into power is to govern and obey the rules and regulations of the party. If we don't have a constitution and we don't have guidelines for how to hold power and what to use with power, then power will become absolute. And for that, the minimum I'm asking for is for the governor to obey the guidelines of the party, the basic principles of internal democracy. Let these people go to the field. If you like, if you have your preference, support your people some other ways. You can give them money, but they must be on the field, and so that the people will have a say on who actually represent them at that local level. For me, I do not see any reason why a governor should actually take an action that will hurt his own party and hurt his own people if we were, fighting or were struggling with an opposition party, your preference is your party. So you can do whatever you want to ensure that your people are there. But these are your people. Why do you need to deprive them of the opportunity? They've been working on this for years, some about 4 years, some 2, and many of them have spent money. So all of a sudden, you just came up and announced the list of people. And of course, because everybody is looking for one position or the other. So they have become, I don't know how to describe it, so afraid, so timid, that nobody could even raise a voice and say, excuse me, Mr. Governor, why don't you let us have an election? And the Congress that took place in Ekiti is another kettle of fish altogether.
Yeah, because I was just about to say that in the last couple of weeks, we've been saying that, people who either had say within their parties or within the PDP more specifically, after the Congress, it would seem that, all powers were lost, and it would seem that we now then knew who was in control very, very clearly. It would seem that the governors are in control. We've made inquiries into why that is, and they say it is only natural because the governors are on the ground, they dispense favors and what have you, so they have that structure. They can determine who eventually becomes who or what within the party. It's no fault of the governors. Do you think that, we're just not begrudging the governor of something that, his colleagues
everywhere is doing?
Exactly.
Yes, I totally agree with you that the governors hold the aces in every state. But the way those delegates were selected, you see, if our governor had stayed 1 year or 2, he would be totally in control of the delegates, totally. But this is his first Congress election after he became governor, barely 2 weeks. So all he needed was to allow the people, they have a process. It's not totally, by election. Many of the wards, they will sit down, they distribute this and say, okay, it's you that will go. Now, on the day of the Congress, they will go in and vote. From there, the ad hoc committee for the election, the representatives would emerge. Now, what happened in our state is that on the day of the election, after I had cried out, somebody came from Abuja, one Senator McAfee, not McAfee, and he said he distributed the materials. But the guy simply stayed back in Ado, went to some private houses, filled out the names, and of course I was in my town. I was in Ekiti throughout. Nobody showed up. INEC people came by about 2 o'clock. I told them, look, have you seen anybody conducting an election anywhere here? He said no. Ditto another local government. Ikole was the worst. One aspirant actually wrote the names of everybody, his people who will vote for him. The person that the governor said was going to the House of Reps. To make matters worse, when a governor believes that he will pick delegates in my ward, in my local government, without my input, that means he has his own agenda.
But I thought your party has said, well, the structure of the party is given to the governors of the PDP governors of their state.
No, who said that?
Your party.
No, the party can. I don't know. The party will not voice that out. It should not voice that out, because yes, the governor is the head of the party, but there is a process for building that structure. Otherwise, there will be no other person who can aspire for any office without the governor.
So you're quarreling with the process?
Oh, the process that took place in Ekiti, I've never seen it anywhere. It's different from what we're talking about in other states.
Tell us exactly what happened when you talk about the process.
Okay, now, in Ekiti, the governor called some aspirants. After he announced the names of those aspirants, he now told them to go and bring the list of the delegates. So obviously, his candidates have been asked to go and get the list of delegates from their respective wards. So they wrote the names of their friends, the people loyal to them. Not necessarily, as a matter of fact, the situation, what I'm hearing, is that most of those assembly people, about 18 out of the 26, actually came from, follow the government from Labour, those that they left together. So, and as I said, we were holding this party, this is PDP, and what is the benefit for the people that worked, you know, to ensure that the government got to where it is? So the question is that when you tell an assembly person to go bring a list, I have a stake. I am running for the Senate. There are people running for House of Reps in my senatorial district. And these are people that you said, okay, hey, these are my candidates. There is nothing wrong in a governor saying he wants to support somebody, but go and support that person using the legal process. You cannot pick a candidate and say, go and bring me the names of your delegates. So obviously, you have hijacked the whole party without due process, without consideration for anything that you can imagine.